Hello, and welcome to our new podcast. I have a new co-host with me. Her name is... Oh, no, I'm not going to tell you what her name is. I'm firstly going to tell you what my name is. My name is Jan.
And my name is Dee.
And together we are... And together we are Rocking Elders. Now, the whole idea for this podcast is just to generally chat. We're two boomers. Isn't that right, Dee?
Yes, we are. I'm a proud boomer.
Yeah, so am
I
I.
love it. Yep.
We're both boomers. So we wanted to give a podcast that is more sort of aimed at other boomers or Gen Xers or anything else. So today we're actually going to be talking about the Johnny Depp and Amber trial.
Yeah.
We've both been watching it. We both have different thoughts on it.
Yes, we do.
We just thought it would be a good idea to start off our podcast discussing this trial. So, Dee, what would you like to say to begin with, and then we can just chat about it?
Yeah, let's jump in.
Mhm.
I am Team Depp. I have been watching pretty much faithfully every day they've been in court, and making my own judgments. I always pretend when I'm watching that I'm in the jury. So I try to look at everything, even though I'm a fan of his. It's hard to ignore that it's Captain Jack Sparrow there. So there's a little bit of fangirling. But in court cases, I typically like to look at it like I'm a juror.
Mm-hmm.
And so I look at evidence and listen. There was a lot of video. And what's your opinion? I don't remember. Is this a planned? Did she surreptitiously record their conversations? Did he do the same? How do they get all this sound bites of their conversations and arguments? What happened? How'd they do it?
Well, that's a really interesting question, and that's something that I was unsure about. I couldn't understand how somebody who is, they must both know it's a very vitriolic relationship that the pair of them have got.
Yes.
So I cannot understand how they're in the middle of an argument and one of them is filming it. I don't understand that.
I don't either. That's the one thing that it's got a block in my mind. That did they not know that the other one was filming? Did they not know that the other one is recording? Was it that did Amber know that they were going to have an argument, so just hit record so everybody could hear it at a future date? Was it by accident? Because there's a lot of recordings here.
Yeah, I know. And I think also it's sort of because of that, mainly because of that, at the very beginning, people have been very skeptical and more towards Amber, I think, than Johnny.
Yes.
And they're saying things like, well, why is she filming him? Why are they recording arguments and everything? And I think, it's a bona fide question to ask.
Agreed.
It just seems very odd.
It does. It kind of, to me, it puts a seed of doubt in there as to, besides a basic he said, she said, plan of action there, one word against another. We're actually hearing them during an argument, and no one can say this was not a tumultuous marriage. Both of them are,
Absolutely.
they are very, now maybe they both liked that might have been the way they communicated. I don't know, because I wasn't there, but just from the recordings, it just seems like there's a little wrench in there. Like, why why now? Why are all these recordings coming out now? Why didn't they come out before if she did have them? And why did she do it in the first place, if not for proof of some point of a severe argument, something that went more than just words? Because that's the basis for this, isn't it? It's not words.
Yeah.
It's about actual, abuse.
Yes. And I think, it's very difficult for people not to be swayed, I think, by this trial. And I know that we don't agree
Right.
on several things on there, and
Hmm.
or several things that have been seen. I have to say, I look at it from someone who has been abused in the past,
Right.
from that perspective, and I
Hmm.
also look at it from somebody who has mental health issues, because I have mental health issues. So
Correct.
I cannot help but look at, but you know but look at this situation from those
Mhm.
eyes. I can't
Right.
suddenly become somebody else and see it as something different. So I think it's good for me, and I think it's good for other people to recognize that there are different ways of looking at certain things,
Oh,
and a lot of
100%.
it will be dependent on our own situation, our own circumstances. I've been in relationships with abusive men,
Mhm.
and it doesn't always have to be physically abusive, it can be mentally abusive.
100%.
So that's where I'm coming from. I can't say whether I'm Team Amber or Team Johnny. I don't believe in teams. I think nobody, especially in this instance, I don't think anybody is in the right and somebody else is in the wrong. I think they're equally responsible for what's happened in this marriage, and they should never really have brought it to court, because all it does is uh, polarize a totally toxic relationship.
Boy, talk about the perfect word, polarize, because that's
Yeah.
exactly what it does. And that's where we agree.
Mhm.
There's no winners here. No
No,
one's winning. They aren't. One is
no.
trying to prove defamation, and one is saying, no, that's not true. And one is claiming abuse, and the other one says it's not true.
Mhm.
But there are no winners here. And I think you're right. I don't think it should have been brought to court. Um, I don't know the reasons. Well, I do. I mean, we all know the reasons why Amber did this. If she felt she was abused, none of us can tell another person how to feel. We can't.
Mhm. Mhm.
And we didn't live in the house with them, and we
Mhm.
don't know what happened other than what they're showing us. And I
Absolutely.
think they've had a very rocky marriage. Should they have probably never got together? Probably not. But
Mhm.
opposites attract. Who knows what he's attracted to? Um, none of us know that. But having this played out on an international level, like it's happening right now, no one's going to win from this. Nobody.
No, they're not. And what I find also um, quite concerning is the amount of money that people are making off of this.
Oh
I
boy.
mean, Johnny Depp is a multimillionaire.
Hmm.
Supposedly, Amber Heard, is also a multimillionaire. I remember when I was growing up, I was always told, there's people starving in Africa. That's why you should eat your meals.
Hmm.
Um, Now, the sad reality is, and I know I'm probably going off on a tangent a little bit here, but I can't help but watch these two millionaires airing their filthy laundry
Yes.
for an extraordinary amount of money. The lawyers will be paid, an extortionate amount of money.
Yes.
And in the meantime, we've got food banks over here in Britain because families are struggling so hard. And so, from a humanitarian viewpoint, I find it disgusting as well.
Yeah.
That's just the way I feel.
The money definitely is an issue, and for someone to honestly look at it, for from the one view, it's pop culture and we're watching the inner workings of a marriage that didn't work out, claims of abuse, movie stars. So everybody's drawn to this story. It might as well be a television show. But when you start looking at the money aspect of it, that's the really, he's talking about $100 million, $100 million, and they're saying, well, she only got 7 million in the divorce. Only 7 million. Boo hoo.
I know. I just
It's
think
just the money,
disgusting.
the money thing. It's for an average person, most, I would say 99.9% of us do not live in that world where numbers like that are tossed around when there's real need of, like, I don't have a car. How am I going to pay my rent? Where am I going to get food? I've got kids. This is just entertainment, I think, for a lot of people. I don't know how serious people are taking this. Yeah.
That's a really good point as well, Dee, because I think a lot of people are just seeing it as entertainment.
Yeah.
But for so many of us that live in the real world, physical abuse or DV is a real thing.
100%.
And to see people that, I mean, I really don't want to say that I don't think that Amber was abused. I can only go by what I've seen.
Right.
And what I've seen
Mm-hmm.
on both sides is both of them are definitely capable of abusing each other. And I think they probably did to a certain extent. Was she as violent as we are supposed to believe? I don't believe she was. I think he was probably violent because of his drink and his drugs and everything. I really do believe that. Just think, I can't join this bandwagon of everyone hating on Amber when it's obvious that Johnny has been instrumental in a lot of the violent incidents.
Well, this is the thing. Yeah, the thing is that we've seen that part of the marriage, and we've actually heard conversations of them with each other, and she gets angry because he walks away from situations and she wants to stay there and work through them, and he doesn't, and he'll leave and go away for 3 days and come back and say, I don't know what you're so bothered about, knowing full well that that's a trigger for her. If you walk away, she's going to get triggered, and you throw in drugs and alcohol onto that. Nothing good is going to come of it. But this is almost like voyeurism. We've got to look into their daily life, into their marriage and their relationship. Nobody gets under the gun like that. We don't have a microscope on each other's relationships and marriages like we're witnessing with that trial. And so it's hard not to have an opinion of, like, she yelled more than him without knowing when he was high or what he took, rather than what she said he took or didn't take. He's not going to admit it. He's not going to say, I was passed out drunk. He'd say, in fact, he said it. He says, could I be sleeping? He's gonna refute the fact that she said he was high or drunk or passed out. He said, could it be that I was sleeping? So it's just a matter of the wording and who's going to believe one more than the other, the one with the more powerful career or the girl who maybe, like you said, neither one of them is guilt-free in this. From what we can see, what they've shown us in court, it's, again, tumultuous. I truly believe that he could get angry, and we've heard him yell. We've heard her yell. The whole finger thing, losing the top of his finger because of an argument.
What do you think
her.
actually happened with that day? Because I saw a bit of that yesterday, and somebody was refuting the fact that the way he's described it, where he was leaning on the bar, she threw a bottle and it cut off his finger. This doctor was saying that it couldn't possibly have happened like that, because
Right.
he had seen images of the of the injury, and it
Hmm.
looked like it was a crush
I
injury.
I saw that.
Did
I
you
saw
see
that. I
that?
saw that testimony. Yes, he said that makes sense if it
Yeah.
was a door.
Hmm.
What's the word? The ones that
Yeah, folding door,
folding
concertina
door.
door.
That's it. Yeah, yeah. See,
Hmm.
there's that boomer moment that we get,
I
or I
know.
get anyway. I can't find the word, but
I do
yeah,
it all the time.
I
Do it
did
all
see
the
that
time.
testimony, and if you think hard enough about it, what would it have to take for someone to chuck a bottle at someone and it slices off a finger? Now, it doesn't mean it's impossible. It could
No.
happen, but is that the reason? I don't know. That might be a reasonable doubt thing that the jury has to look at.
I think if
When,
this was a murder charge, I
yeah,
don't think that there's a saying, when they charge people, it has to be beyond a reasonable doubt.
right.
And I don't think this is beyond a reasonable doubt. I think the explanation that the doctor gave, that it was
Mhm,
a crush injury, is
mhm.
far more likely. And then I think further on, somebody testified about Johnny self-harming, and which again I found really interesting.
Yeah.
And for me,
Mhm,
I thought, do you know, I could just imagine him in all his anger and his fury and his drunkenness and his spaced outness, just bashing the top
mhm.
um, of the counter with the heavy bottle of vodka and
Yeah.
doing that with his own finger. I actually believe that that's what he did, Dee.
Yeah. I
I
don't,
really
I
do.
don't, I, in my opinion, I don't think he would harm himself. He's been, he's testified that, and I know he's been a guitar player most of his adult life. And to purposefully hurt himself to that degree that would affect the best part of his life, says him, which is music. And to affect that with guitar playing by doing something like that. Now, could it happen? Of course. Could it have been an accident? Absolutely. But can we blame her for that when they're
Mm,
both high?
mm,
Um, there's a reasonable doubt there. To
yeah.
me, there's a reasonable doubt.
I know what you're saying about him not doing that, because, you know, he's a guitar player, and there's
Right.
no guitar player would purposely
Hmm.
hurt himself. But at that split moment, maybe
Right.
he didn't intend to hurt himself.
Right.
Maybe he was so enraged that he banged the bottle down, not realizing that his finger was there.
Yep. And
So,
yeah, that could absolutely be the case.
I
This
mean,
is the problem. I'm glad I'm not on the jury because they're going to have
oh
to
my
look through
God.
so much paperwork and
Oh,
go
I
over
can
so
tell.
many things.
Yeah.
I don't envy them at all in this because, and I also heard a rumor. Now, I don't know if this is true or not. Maybe you've read about it. If he loses this case, if it comes up that she's not guilty of lying,
Hmm.
and she is in turn suing him for $100 million or something, or 50
Hmm.
million, will
Hmm.
he have to pay her that money? I heard that he won't have to do it, that this wouldn't go to trial again. If he loses this and she's found not guilty,
Hmm.
I heard or read somewhere that there will not be a second trial for her suing him, that he would have to pay her money.
Oh, I don't know.
Yeah,
I've
I
not
don't
heard
either.
that, Dee.
Yeah, yeah. That's just something that I've heard or read in the past week. Might just be a
Oh,
rumor, but if she comes up not guilty, he may have to pay her um, for him suing her. Yeah, there's a lot to this.
yeah. Oh
There's
God,
a
yeah.
lot. It's
But
just a lot, but it's going to come down to personalities, I think.
I think Johnny is winning. That's what I think.
Yeah,
And I don't feel that it's fair.
yeah.
Um, I feel that, I mean, there's certain things that are swept under the carpet,
Hmm.
like the fact that he refused to have any mental health checks.
Right.
Why?
Yeah,
Why? Why is he allowed to prove that?
yeah.
Why is he allowed to refuse that when he has brought the case? So surely if he's saying that, she's defamed me,
Hmm.
wouldn't you want to take all the tests to prove that you were perfectly okay, that you didn't have a mental health issue or you didn't have a mental illness? So I think that is a large red flag for me.
That's a good
And
point.
I think there's been a lot of instances. I look at him and I can't see an innocent man, Dee. And maybe that's because of my past and my
Yeah.
experiences. But
I
I
think
just
it's hard when you have a personal feeling or you've been in similar circumstances. It's hard to objectively look at a situation and think, what could happen in an abusive relationship if you've been in one. You
mm,
know how that can go. So it would be difficult for you or anyone that's been in a situation like that to be objective
mm,
about the whole thing. I don't think he's innocent. I don't. I don't think he's, rainbows and unicorns and she's the devil. I don't think it's that at all. I think they both had a very difficult marriage. And
mm.
only going by recordings, she seems to be the aggressor. If there's recordings there of him being an aggressor, I want to hear that.
Have you seen the one where he's smashing up the kitchen?
No.
Oh, there is one. There's
Okay.
footage
Okay.
of him in the kitchen, and I
Hmm.
don't know what the circumstances were, but he's smashing the door closed and
Oh, Jesus.
like a toddler having a temper tantrum.
Yeah.
So there is that.
Okay.
But I think there's just so many issues, and I think, we're boomers, right? We
Yes.
know that some people can paint a completely different picture
Oh, yes.
to the real story, and I
Oh,
just
yeah.
feel that maybe not even Johnny. I'm not even sure that Johnny has the capacity to
Yeah.
paint in any way. I
Yeah.
think he's brain screwed, and I think the drugs is he's a
Yeah.
shell of the man that perhaps he used to be.
Right.
But I think he's armed himself with a very, very good attorney group. I don't know what to call them. What do you call a group of attorneys? Aquarium. No. I think he's armed himself with some very stringent, spiteful attorneys, which means that he doesn't actually have to speak. And when he does speak, I think he generally lets himself down, because it's proof of his cognitive reactions, and he's just not a very good speaker, which sounds bizarre when you think he's an actor. But a lot of actors, aren't very good at speaking normally because they're so used to working off the script. So what did you think of some of the witnesses they've had on there, Dee? What are your thoughts on there? I know we disagreed on one, didn't we?
The witnesses that were on there. Oh boy. It just depends on who they're talking about. There's you have it wasn't her sister on there. Um who else was on there? On her team. Who was on Amber's team? Not
I've
team. I
seen
don't mean
very
that.
few on Amber's team. Um,
Yeah.
I saw the doctor. I saw Dr. David Spiegel.
Yes.
I thought he was great.
Yeah. Yeah.
I thought he was very good at explaining mental health issues, which I feel, and it was him who exposed the fact that Johnny had refused to have any tests. And I think that was swept under the carpet very quickly, and I don't think it should have been.
I think you're right there because if she had to undergo, which she did, she
Yeah,
had psychological testing from that one, the forensic psychologist tested her. He should have been made to do the same. I agree
I
with you
think
on
so.
that because
Yeah.
that lets them know that first of all he's willing to let go of that part of that ego part that says yeah I have flaws, yeah I
Yeah.
I have some issues, I have some mental health issues, like his
Mhm.
sister talking about their youth and the abusive mother, and him as a child just going into another room when they were growing up. And that was his train of thought as an adult. I walk away from a situation. I don't stand there and listen to it. I'm going to leave. And this is one thing that Amber could not wrap her head around. She could not live with that. She wanted to stay there and argue it out. And he just said, no, I'm not going to do it.
I mean, why does that put her in the wrong?
It doesn't. It
No.
absolutely doesn't. It's not a reason against her. There's nothing wrong. That's any relationship, isn't it? Don't you think? It's very difficult. It's more difficult to talk something out, in my experience, my long life as a boomer now. It's more difficult to work through something with another person than it is to say, I don't want to listen to it. I don't care. I'm leaving. I'm going into another room and I'm shutting it down. That's the easy way out. And so I don't blame her in any way for feeling the way that she did about his behavior in that respect in their marriage. That would drive me crazy personally. If I couldn't get an answer.
I'm sure there's many people that can relate to that. Absolutely, 100%. But normally within a relationship or a marriage that you care about, you would try and find a common ground there. You would talk about it and say, and explain, look, I hate it when you do that. I can't have you disappearing for 3 days. It drives me insane. And they should be able to talk about it. But it seems obvious that these two just weren't able to be able to speak openly in their relationship. And it makes me wonder what their relationship was based on.
Yeah, I think looking at, just our experience as, having been married, children, relationships, I've been through a few. And as a marriage goes, I think you have to look at what gets people together initially, besides the physical attraction at first. But once you get past that, the person that you're with or want to get married to and spend the rest of your life with, hopefully, they tickle that part of your brain that says, oh, this person, okay, they get me. This is right. They get that part of your brain. And I think with them, just as an outsider looking in, she's young, she's beautiful, she's accomplished in the fact that she was a popular actress, and him as an older man, he's in his 50s, and he sees this beautiful young thing, and I think maybe it was lust, because they got married, in a relatively short period of time. They didn't, this wasn't like even a year-long relationship or 2 years where they could get to know each other, even living together. And I think maybe this was more of a lust connection, just from an outsider point of view, because they're so different, which doesn't mean it can't work, but he didn't want to try to make anything work.
No, he'd already been in fairly established relationships, hadn't he?
Yes.
So I mean, we shouldn't really perhaps, speculate on what his thoughts were, but, as an outsider, we can. And to me, it does seem that, she was a pretty young thing who also liked to do the things that he enjoyed doing. Like with the drugs. I mean, I've never been involved in that lifestyle. Ever.
Me neither.
Even when I was a performer, even when I used to go out a lot, clubbing and everything, I never got into that scene. But I think something that hasn't seemed to have been talked about a great deal is the Hollywood scene, where they're all coked up. They're all sniffing this and shoving that up, and drinking way too much because they've all got too much money. And I think that there's a good chance that that's also attributed to the failure of their marriage.
The lifestyle. Lifestyle. Yes. I think that's a very good point.
And also, I think from what I can gather, this is where the age thing comes in. He's that much older than her, and he has already done all the parties and, raved out with friends. His raving, from what I can gather, is if he has a few friends over and they get pissed out of their heads,
Yeah.
have a few
Yeah.
drugs, and that's a
Yeah.
party for him.
Mm-hmm.
Now, for Amber, her age group, that isn't a party for them. They
Right.
want to be seen out and about, dancing and going to all the right places and everything. So I think also, and nothing's really been said about it, but I think also the age difference could have been a major issue in their marriage as well, even though they weren't aware of it.
Yeah. Do you think she was a gold digger?
I don't know, because she was doing quite well on her own. I mean, gold digger normally means that they haven't really got any money to begin with and they just want to live off the other person's money, doesn't it?
No.
And I
Yeah.
don't see that. I didn't see that with her. I felt that, yeah, maybe it was a status thing.
Yeah. Yeah. I think
Johnny Depp is well loved.
right.
And imagine saying, "Oh, look, I'm going out with Johnny Depp. I've got him eating out of my hands, so to speak,
Right. Yes.
and he's even married me." Yeah,
Yeah.
so maybe as a status thing, but I'm not sure whether it was a financial decision.
Yeah.
Not
Maybe
really.
maybe
What do
gold
you
digger.
think?
Gold digger was probably the wrong term. I think maybe you said it by saying it was a status move, or that was part
Yeah,
of it anyway. Because a
yeah,
young girl, she hasn't had many years of adult life experience,
mm,
and to have a very internationally known, successful, good-looking older guy take an interest
yeah,
in her in any respect would
yeah,
have definitely been a check in her side, in the pros anyway. But I
yeah,
agree with you about the partying. I think maybe the Hollywood lifestyle or what his money afforded them to do party wise was a big thing. I think you're right.
yeah.
I do.
And it's funny because I haven't actually seen anyone sort of talking about that aspect, but
No,
I don't think that probably did. I mean, at 50, or what is he? He's nearly 60. He's set in his ways,
right.
and if he gets a young girl like her, he's married to her, he has his issues. And I would say his main issues were his abuse of drink and drugs. Now,
Yes.
they are not good issues to have when you've got a young girl who wants to go out gallivanting and wants to star in these wonderful films where, yeah, perhaps there may be a nude scene, and yes, perhaps you will have to snog the face off of the actor. From what I understand, he didn't like that.
Yeah.
Johnny Depp didn't like her doing that and started saying to her, "No, you can't do that film. I don't want you acting with him. He's a sleazebag or something." And I think that's where it just wasn't going to work.
I know at one point I did hear something, or I think it was a recording. Maybe it wasn't. Maybe I just read it or heard it from a reaction channel that
Or
he
dreamt
was telling her that the dress she was wearing was very inappropriate. Now, here's a girl in her 20s that has
Yeah.
a banging body.
Yeah.
Okay, she's got everything working. And he's like, well, if that's how you want everyone to know you as is someone that's got their behind hanging out. But to her, it was classy or sassy. It wasn't like this is what they're going to identify me at. But because of his age and
Hmm.
his life experience, he's trying to teach her, look, this isn't in your best interest. And that part, she probably said, oh, the hell with it. I'm wearing what I want. Could you imagine dating someone in their 20s?
Oh God, no, no,
Exactly.
no.
On what level do you connect with someone that's 40 years younger? Well, it is
I
for me
know.
anyway. I
It's
can't imagine
mad.
it.
It's
Uh,
mad. I
it
just
is.
no. I mean, I've had age differences in two of my
Mm-hmm,
long-term relationships,
mm-hmm,
and in fact, my ex-husband was 14 years younger than me, and the one before that was 15 years older than me. So I've had it on both sides. And I will
mm-hmm.
say that the older one did have that problem. You going out like that? You going out like that?
Guess
Yeah.
what? I've
And
had the
that's
same
how it
thing. Yeah.
starts. It's like, and then from there it progresses to power. It progresses to them trying to control you, and I really believe that that's what Johnny Depp was doing in the end. He should never have said, you can't, I don't want you in that film because you're going to be kissing that guy. I don't want. Well, it's got nothing to do with him, really.
So you think it was
You
think it was control then?
Oh, 100%.
That never even came into my head. I can't
God,
believe that I didn't think about that, but you're absolutely right. It's a power struggle.
Yeah, it starts with very little things, and it'll start in a more gentle way, like it could be something like, oh yeah, that dress is really nice, but I really like you in that other one. I think you look really pretty in that. I think the red sort of really suits you. So then the girl will think, oh, all right, then he likes me in the red, and then the next time it will progress from there, and then it'll be, oh, I'm not sure. Are you sure you want to go out with something so short on? You know, maybe you should sort of wear something a little bit longer. It's all about control. And, you know, it sort of comes out of nowhere, really. And I've been in that situation. I've been with somebody who I met from a very young age. And as I grew up and grew into the person I am, or I was in my 30s, he couldn't handle it.
Yeah.
And it was like, oh, why do you want to go to that club in London? Because I used to play tennis, and I lived in a good area, and I used to play tennis, and I met a lot of the people that played there also at the club. And one girl that I got friendly with, there was a group of us. Her husband owned Brown's in London.
Oh.
And she said to us one day, she said, let's all go down to my husband's club on Wednesday night. You'll love it. And we were like, oh, okay. What's it called? Brown's. Well, I don't know if you've heard of it, but it is a big club in London. So I was like, yeah, that'd be great. I love it. Love it. I went home and I told my partner at the time. He completely refused to let me go. You're not going there.
Why? Jealousy?
Jealous, power, control.
Yeah.
So I can fully understand when these stories are coming out of Johnny trying to manipulate Amber, not only in private life, but also in her professional life. He was trying to manipulate her for his own feelings, because he couldn't cope with seeing her out on the town with a short miniskirt on.
I think you have, because of your own past, you have a unique view into their relationship. See, what you've just talked about, I haven't gone through that, so I can't, I'm not looking at that part, but as you're explaining it, I see it. Yeah. You see, we agree on more than you think. It's so you're viewing it through personal experience, actually like a jury would, because we don't know what each of those jurors have been through. We don't know what their history is and how they're going to look at a situation. That's a good thing.
Yeah, it's like I said, everybody that looks at it will look at it slightly differently, but I don't believe on jumping on bandwagons.
Yeah,
I like to come to my own decision and my own thoughts on things. As a boomer, I'm going to have quite a lot of experiences to remind me.
And me as well. Yeah, I'm not. When I said Team Johnny, I've been watching all of this as I would be a juror. If I was a juror on there, what I would look at the evidence, and based on that, what would I think as to her claims that he abused her?
Yeah.
And from what I'm seeing, there was mutual abuse, but I don't think his stands out more than hers does. So for her to bring a claim against him initially with the hashtag Me Too, and maybe not to have the supportive evidence to have made that claim, that's what I'm looking at. Did she, in fact, do this for the wrong reasons? Did she do it because of abuse? or was it publicity, or was it anger? What was it really? And I think that's what this is deciding. I think there was abuse on both sides. I do. He's no
hmm
he's no angel. I really don't think he's an angel. And now there's drugs, and now there's alcohol, and now there's cheating, and now there's a power play. Pretty much sounds like a marriage of death.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, doomed to fail.
I have to say, in all honesty, as soon as
Mhm.
I found out, or as soon as I heard that she suffered from a mental illness, which is the same as what I suffer with,
Right.
I could relate to her
Yes.
through that. I have
Hmm.
to admit to that. And
Hmm.
when I've been talking to other people about it and talking to my family, because I've got 4 grown-up kids, so we quite often discuss things as well.
You're
And
so
when
lucky.
I've said I recognise or I realise that because I've got a mental illness, that perhaps I look at things differently to what other people look at. But it's like I was just saying, when you've been in those situations,
Yes.
it's like I find it very triggering. And I mean, when she was describing what happened in the kitchen,
Yeah.
I cried. I
Oh.
cried with her, not because that had happened to me. Thank God it hadn't happened to me, but just hearing of a woman being abused by
Mm-hmm.
her husband, the man that she loved.
Mm-hmm.
I found that really hard to deal with, and it did trigger me.
Yeah.
But then you go on social media and they're all making fun of it, and it's like, well, no, you shouldn't do that. What really worries me about this case
Mm-hmm.
is that if Amber is telling the truth, and I'm not saying 100% she's telling the truth, she could well be embellishing certain things,
Mm-hmm.
and some of her claims don't make sense and everything. But it
Right.
just worries me that as a woman, and
Mm-hmm.
especially as a woman that has been in abusive relationships,
Mm-hmm.
it worries me that she won't be taken seriously, and that she's got such hate coming towards her now. And I do worry for another human being's sanity after this.
I think as a woman, although I've never gone through a DV or an SA situation, as a woman, and she's a young woman, and now she has a child, doesn't she?
I
She
know.
has a child now. If they find that her claims are not either believable
Hmm.
or untrue, they're proven untrue, um, it's not going to go good for other women that
Yes.
stand up, that have, because now they're going to have to prove beyond a shadow of a doubt that they were abused.
Hmm.
This is the bad thing that's going to come out of this.
Yeah.
But she went down that road all those years ago with a whole heart, saying, okay, I'm filing this lawsuit against him. He injured me. I was abused, and, I'm standing behind it. And now, all these years later, having to come up with proof of abuse. And now we're seeing both sides of it. I
Hmm.
think she abused him too. I think
Hmm.
it was mutual abuse. I don't think it was just her. I don't think it was just him. I
Hmm.
think this is an unfortunate marriage. But it's going to make it harder for any abuse victim, male or female, now to come forward and say, look, I'm getting hit, punched, abused, however they want to call it. And when she had to say, it was in a recording, I didn't deck you, I didn't punch you, I slapped you. Um, Abuse.
Hmm.
A slap is abuse. To what degree? It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. But neither one of them, I don't think, is innocent. I don't see him as innocent. I think he doesn't have, or his team has found that her proof is not adding up to what she said it was supposed to be.
Yeah.
But that's going to hurt women in the end. It is.
Oh, yeah, I absolutely agree. And I also think, I don't know what it is about Amber Heard. I have to be honest and say I don't like her. I don't like her demeanor. I don't think she comes across as being a particularly nice person.
Yeah.
With Johnny, I never watched. The only film that I've watched of his, which was years and years ago, was Edward Scissorhands. And I can't remember much about him in there. I'm not into fantasy films. I'm
Yeah.
not really a film buff. So I've known of Johnny Depp, and I've seen pictures of him and thought, oh God, he's gorgeous.
Right.
He's a
Hmm.
very handsome man.
Hmm.
But I haven't watched him. So I'm not a fan of his.
Right.
But I don't know, and I think it's possibly because of my background. I just look at him as being sounds awful, but I just look at him as being damaged because of what he's done. And I think maybe she was in love with him to begin with, and maybe she did want the marriage to work, and maybe she's been so hurt by him that that's why she's taken him to court. Because
Yeah.
if you have been abused by somebody, you want the world to know about it. You do.
Right.
So I can understand that.
I think
But
she's very unlikable. She's
she is
coming
very
up.
unlikable.
She's coming across that way. That she's very standoffish and
Yeah.
very above it all. And
Mm.
if you don't think like I do, then you can just keep walking. And he is coming off as just some old guy that's a successful actor. Whether you watched his films or not, his background says he's a successful actor.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I'm not
That's
doubting
what
that.
he's got going on his side, and his looks, but his reputation has now been called into play. She's just starting. Really, she's just starting in the industry, and now this is going to go against her no matter how this comes out, no matter
Mm.
good, bad, or otherwise. She is going to have a terrible reputation in Hollywood. And that's another
Yes.
unfortunate thing. But for the next girl that comes up, or the next guy that's trying to claim abuse, they better have all their ducks in a row before they do it. And that's sad.
Yeah.
To me, that's sad. If I tell somebody I'm being abused, they must believe me.
Yes.
But
Yes.
it seems you're not going to be able to take someone's word anymore. You're going to need proof. You're going to need recordings. You're going to need videos. You're going to need medical documents. You're going to need, really,
Yeah. I know.
should that need to be? But I guess it's going to go that way. But that's what I said in the beginning. We both said there's not going to be any winners here. No matter who
Mm.
comes out successful, there's no winners. None.
No. And I must say, the whole courtroom thing
Hmm.
has, for me, I just can't believe the way these attorneys talk to the waitresses, to the witnesses. I can't believe it.
I
The
know.
way they talk with such contempt,
Oh, I
and they're
know.
so rude, and they even people that are high up in their field,
Yes.
doctors, psychiatrists, and so many professional people, they just wipe the floor with them. And I just think that's awful. What's wrong with showing respect to somebody
So
who's
disrespectful.
done so well in their field,
It's
you
knock them
know?
down at any cost. Knock them out. Knock them out of the ring at any cost. Talk down to them, and make sure that nobody believes whatever they're saying
Oh,
at any cost. And it is hard to watch. I agree with you. That's hard to watch
yeah.
because I picture myself there. If they were talking to me that way, I'd want to flip them off. Like, how
Mm,
dare you? I don't deserve this.
I
But
know.
that's how they're making their money. They're in it to
Yeah,
win it, and that's it. It's
yeah,
money. It's money
yeah.
in the end to them.
Well, that's it. They're all going to be laughing all the way to the bank. But I do sort of echo your concerns as far as any further success in the film industry for Amber. I don't think
Yes.
it's going to hinder Johnny too much, because from what I've gathered, he plays the role of a drunk most of the time anyway. So
True.
it's not going to hinder him, is it?
No, no, that's just a role. But yeah, and it's not going to hurt. Although I think initially it did hurt his chances for a franchise, future money, future movies. But other than that, I don't, he's not going to be unemployable. He's still going to get jobs if he wants them. He still can play music if he wants to. I don't think his reputation is going to suffer as much as hers will.
Yes.
Hers is going to suffer. Yeah.
The last thing that I want to sort of bring up is, as women, because we are women.
Yes, we are.
Do you think it's fair that he will walk away from this unscathed? I'm looking at it from a woman's argument. I'm not saying that all women are meant to be believed.
Right.
But I am saying that in a relationship where it's near enough been proved or been proven that they have both been troublesome in this relationship, do you therefore think that it's right that she should suffer more than he does after this?
No, I don't think it's fair at all. I don't. It's going to be popular opinion. It's their job their jobs are to make movies that will make money for people. So the popularity contest and the popular opinion is always going to be with the winner or the most popular one, which right now is him. She's going to suffer regardless if she wins or loses. She's a smaller movie star, although she's beautiful. And now she's a mother. So she's got a family now. She has to think differently. But it's going to overshadow, in my opinion, what she does for the rest of her life in the film arena. Yeah. She may choose another way to make money or something. But in Hollywood, it's popular opinion and money. Money's going to be on the success, which is him. Yeah. And she's just going to look like, the wife that got hurt because the husband didn't treat her the way she wanted to. And so she went against him and she just looks like a fool. It's unfortunate because there's abuse involved. And she should not be thought less of because of that. But I'm afraid that's going to be exactly the case. Yeah. She's going to suffer. Yes.
Yeah. I agree, but I don't agree that it should happen. I feel that, what I would actually love to see, and I know it's not going to happen, but I would love to see the judge say, well, thanks for the last 6 weeks, but I'm dismissing the case. You're both as bad as each other, so that's the end of that. That's what I would like to see.
Next time around, go for marriage counseling before you get married.
Yes.
Don't jump in just because you like how someone looks.
Yes.
Yeah. Or their history. That's a good point. I'd love to see that too. Like Judge said, thanks for showing up. It's been great fun, but now you may all go. It's dismissed.
Yeah, I've got my holiday booked. Yeah. Oh dear. Well, I've really enjoyed this little chat we've had, Dee.
I have too. I think
we could talk forever and ever.
Oh, I know it.
It's nearly an hour, so I think we'll stop here now. And I want to say this has been fun, and it's been good to talk to somebody who's got, slightly different thoughts on it. But it's good to sort of bounce off of each other. And I'm looking forward to our next podcast.
I am too. This was a good first podcast. Yes. I hope everybody enjoys it as much as we did.
Yeah, I had so fun too.
Yeah.
So if you do, can you please give a like to the podcast? And, if you can think of something else that you'd like us to put our wise old heads to, write it down in the channel. And we're aiming to sort of do a weekly podcast. So get our heads together again next week, Dee.
Yeah, that sounds great.
So from me, Jan, and Dee.
Yep.
Rockin' Elders, because that's what we're called. We're going to say bye-bye.
Elders. Yeah.
And take care of yourselves.
Bye, everybody. Bye, Jan.
Bye.